received a research grant from the National Institute on Drug Abuse. And with this grant, I was able to establish my own lab. I did some interviews at different places, and I found that UConn had everything I was looking for in terms of the research space and potential collaborations. And I just felt most at home at UConn.
UConn has a terrific commercialization team, and we are working with them, and we are doing pitch talk to a lot of investors and startups.
We have NIH support, we have a startup. I do have one particular project I'm very excited about. We can use nanoparticle to target tumors and stick there, and radiation will kill tumor cells.
We also have some very niche projects. One we have right now is on an oral gel form. So often patients with cancer, they have these very terrible lesions in their mouth, very painful and very difficult to treat. So this formulation numbs and reduces the pain and can last for a couple of hours. So this is something I'm very excited about, and we're about to do some clinical trials on that.
So we're mainly interested in infectious disease. We have a pandemic we've just been through, so we know a little bit about that. But what's been happening is a lot of the agents we've relied on for a lot of years no longer are effective. And this is true for bacterial, antifungals, antivirals. So that's kind of what we're interested in, is understanding sort of the mechanisms of how these organisms are drug resistant, and then developing better drugs that sort of circumvent those pathways.
We are working on developing some drugs that can target genetic diseases and the cancer. There are a lot of those problems, those comes up when there are mutations at the gene level. So if you can fix the disease at the root level, and you don't have to really rely too much on such a chemotherapy and radiation therapy, which has a lot of side effects, I think that would contribute a lot to the medicine in the future.
The question we're interested on is why the different people, they take same drug, but then some respond well, but others not. There's a group of enzymes in our body, in our liver. These enzymes, they handle more than 50% of the prescription drug. We see some people, they produce quite a lot. Some people, they produce much less. That is the things make us feel kind of very exciting area to jump in, because everything is new.
Our lab focuses on studying the neurobiology of substance use disorder. Substance use disorder is a major health crisis in the United States. For example, in 2020, over 90,000 people died of overdose-induced deaths. Our ultimate goal is to develop more effective and safe therapies to reduce this tragic loss of life. We're still a relatively new lab, and so some of our initial successes were to establish a lab, to recruit new students in the lab, to train them in techniques. As we pick up more momentum and as projects grow, we need more people to take on these different experiments. And so, yeah, it's been growing quite well over the last few years. So if we get good results from this, then I think that will attract a lot of attention, both from the basic science community and also the clinical research science community.
We have graduate students, postdoctoral fellows, research technicians, all sort of levels of experience. Because of what we do is pretty multidisciplinary, some of the people would be more thought of as a traditional chemist. Other students in the lab will do more of the biological work. It's a very integrated lab with both chemists and biologists, and which is, I think it's a very exciting environment for people who are interested in this, because it kind of reflects a lot of, on a very small scale, what you would see within a pharmaceutical company.
The lab is a kind of big proponent of interdisciplinary science. So students, they do a lot of synthesis, then we have a lot of cell culture facilities here. We test those molecules we made in-house in the cell culture.
Depending on what experiment we're doing, it can last from anywhere for a couple months to a few days.
Typical thing when I talk to any new students, I tell them, be patient, you don't expect you do this work and the next day you have results. You spend 2/3 of the time on doing preparation and a little bit of time in experiment and another block of time to do analysis. To make a comfortable conclusion takes time.
Well, science is always challenging. Just from the beginning of it doesn't cooperate, and the bacteria and viruses don't cooperate with you, right? They don't. So, there's always the sort of day-to-day struggle of trying to make the science work. So you have to just keep at it, right? You can't be discouraged.
The challenge is really that you have to be very motivated. You have to work really hard. And if you do that, you can really get anywhere you want to go, I think.
All this work that I'm carrying in my lab, you're able to see the hope that what you develop in the lab has a potential as a product and as a commercial space.